Grand Rises, God folks, good folks, all of the above. Welcome to my corner of the world or my corner of the earth. This is Queen Bree. I hope that everybody is doing pretty good and doing you in the most bona fide way that you know how. Like seriously doing you in the most bona fide way that you know how, considering all of the things that is going on in the world, all the things that's going on, in the outdoors, the surrounding areas, online, considering that there is a lot of, people talking about things and things that are being marketed, ads, influencers, and, a culture and population of individuals who are, totally being distracted by a lot of the stuff that's going on, especially the things online. Hopefully, you are doing you in the most bona fide way that you know how, being tapped in with yourself, making sure that you're being tapped in with yourself. Also, checking in with yourself, checking yourself, and listening to, your heart, listening to yourself after considering all of the things that are being said and all of the things that people are talking about. So, before I get started on the topic that I wanted to talk about, I want to ask that you excuse any noise that you may hear while I'm recording this, as I am attending an event at the moment. So the topic that I wanted to talk about today is how it is so dangerous for folks to glamorize and follow and glorify and idolize these Instagram models, these what they call baddies or bad female dogs, if you will. The dangers of that. When we think about or consider these individuals online, we know that it's a character. But, when we actually sit back and we think about how it is destroying the self-esteem in the minds of individuals who are not strong-minded. And the reason why I say strong-minded is because, we could talk about the youth and we could talk about the children. But then there's also adults who are idolizing, copying, following, glamorizing, and idolizing folks with money and, individuals online who are influencers or, individuals like the Instagram models. These individuals, they glamorize a lifestyle that is really not absolutely authentic, or it's not real. One of the dangerous things that we can point out first and foremost is that we have a large population of youngsters who are online and are frequenting these platforms, frequently using these platforms. And these individuals, they want to, portray an image of perfection, on the outside, and luxury, and they want to promote a certain type of image. And for the average human being or the average young boy or girl that don't have that, when they don't have, certain luxuries or, are not, they are not, what is the word that I'm looking for? They're not as fortunate. These young folks, especially, it does something to their self-esteem where, they have low self-esteem, and when they can't obtain the things that they see online that they feel like is, what the world is and how everyone is, then, they have self-esteem issues, which can lead to behavioral issues. And in my opinion, I believe that is one of the reasons why the suicide of young folks, why that rate is so high, because a lot of young folks are spending too much time online, and they're trying to embody these images and lifestyles of these social media influencers, whether they're trying to be an influencer or not, but more specifically these Instagram models, with the fake lips, the BBLs, the fake bodies, and the makeup, and all of their things, their material things that they have. And I mean, we can just go on and on and on about it. But, I made I previously uploaded a video when I was talking about individuals who have so much, they suffer the most. And that's why I say that, it's dangerous, and that lifestyle is not authentic, but it's fake, because these individuals are trying to portray a certain type of image. And, another thing that makes that dangerous is that when you don't have that, or when you don't have the things that should be, most valued, like, human connections and making beautiful memories and creating beautiful experiences and memories to document, when they get into a lonely state, or when they can't keep up a certain type of image of perfection, then they go into a depressive state. So it's not real. And the young folks really need to know that. I would hope that, people that are more mature in age, or adults, would know that. But unfortunately, we live in a world where, there are a lot of adults who are not mature and who really don't have the intellect or a mind that is strong enough to be able to tell the difference, or to be able to call BS, right? And then, we can talk about and consider how, these women, they portray a certain type of image and lifestyle, but there's a lot of men actually that's been talking about how, they're tired of seeing what's fake, and they would prefer something that is more natural. You can only go so far with, purely only looks, when you can only market your looks, but you have nothing else to go with that. It's like beauty but no brains, right? In this time where we're trying to uplift and raise the generation and raise the consciousness, the whole, just the whole image and all of this superficial stuff is really not going to get us far, especially when we're talking about raising a generation of young folks who are technology babies. A lot of these youngsters are being influenced and raised by technology. And if all that they're seeing is just images of, adult men and women's bodies and nothing else, that's pretty dangerous. And then we're just raising a generation of dumb people, which is not good. It's actually setting us back. So as far as, individuals who have, they have their material things, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with material things, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to look good, because I'm a Libra, so I love beauty. I love nice things. I love material things, and I love to look good. I love to smell good. I love fashion. I love beauty. It's like my middle name. But I don't worship things. And I know beyond I have to know that beyond my looks and my beauty, that there needs to be more. There needs to be more to me. There has to be some type of substance, right? And there's a lot of people who have, a lot that looks good on the outside, but they be absolutely empty on the inside. They're broken, probably mentally, emotionally, spiritually. When the party ends, when the shopping spree stops, when you have everything, just say that you individual have everything that they want, but they have voids in different places that they can't fill. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And unfortunately, there are children who are seeing these images and seeing all of these nice looking things, who think that that's the only thing that the world that's the only thing that everybody is about, and that's the only thing that the world has to offer. And when they feel like that's not attainable, it really does something to their self-esteem. I always say that you can't be a queen and a bad bitch at the same time. You can't be a queen and a bad female dog at the same time. I don't understand how or where these individuals get off calling themselves bad bitchs, or calling themselves hoes and etc. All of these self-degrading words. I didn't grow up like that, and we didn't play that in my household, and we still don't. The culture has accepted so much and has influenced so much self-degradation that it's really disgusting, and it's really not even funny. For women to make it seem like it's okay to call each other self-degrading words is really beyond me. When I was younger, I used to tell associates or certain individuals that I would have conversations with. I would tell them when I was younger. Kind of makes me laugh thinking back on it, but I would tell them like, yo, don't call me a female dog, don't call me out my name unless you're trying to fight. That's kind of how I used to talk, because my mom, my mom used to say, I don't talk that B talk, and it's kind of how I was raised. And the whole self-degradation, the that type of conversation and everything is just trash. It really is. Like, I don't know, men has been influenced by certain women and has made it okay, and they've been comfortable with calling her out of her name and then going back and forth. And women have made it okay for men to call them out their name or whatever. It's really both sides, and then they say, oh, y'all get mad when we call y'all that, but y'all call each other that. I've heard people say that before, but like I said, I don't, my vernacular is not as such. I don't speak like that, but, I just feel like there's a lot of trifling stuff that needs to be called out, and it's not my ways. I understand that, some people, they'll say to people like me, like, like try to shut it down, like shut that down. Because, some individuals are just the way that they are, and they're set in their ways. And those are the people that I remain separate from. The individuals that I feel like are not good enough to sit next to me. Because, we all should be conducting ourselves in certain type of ways, and ways that shows class and respect, and, just really showing that we value and love ourselves, especially being examples for the children. Because, some people say, I ain't a role model. Like, go find you a role model. I'm not a role model. But it's like, that's an excuse. It's a cop-out, It's an excuse for individuals to not be held accountable. But it's one thing if you're just around, adults who might maybe, small-minded or mindless, brainless or whatever. That's one thing. But when you having an audience that is a child, when you have children that is your audience, whether that be online or in in social life, or out in the real world or whatever, It's like that's something that you have to keep in mind, whether you like it or, whether it's your intentions or not. We should always keep in mind that the kids are always watching. And, some people may say, well, the parents need to raise the kids and they should have certain restrictions on their phone. And I didn't make this for kids or whatever. But it's like, okay, can we pump our brakes and stop making excuses? Because the fact of the matter is that the internet is, widely accessible, especially to children. So how come we can't just approach certain activities and certain things with, keeping in mind that it is a high possibility that a youngster may see it? And a lot of these individuals and influencers, like I said, they have the mind of, well, I'm not an influencer, or I didn't make this for a kid, or adults need to parent their kids, and they need to police what they watch and things. And that's true. I absolutely agree with that. But I think that if we keep in mind what, what's possible, that, what the children may possibly be able to access, I think that would help a lot when it comes to the youth, because the youth is wild, it's really wild, especially for the ones that are being raised by social media and don't have proper leadership or leadership at all for some of them, which is really sad. It's also dangerous when we're considering, children looking to following and, wanting to embody the ways and lifestyle of these online influencers, specifically those who are Instagram models, baddies, or those who call themselves BITCHs. It's hard to, you can raise a baby to make them be whatever you want them to be, right? And you can instill certain morals, principles, and values in the children and in the youth. And it's hard to break that toxicity or that curse of them wanting to embody all of the superficiality and all of the inappropriate things that they see online or even on the TV or wherever they see it, right? When they're already taking in those images of what they feel like is an ideal image, or is a lifestyle that they are aspiring to, then they begin to suffer because of their self-esteem issues. So when young girls, for example, have these problems with self-love because they don't know how to love themselves, their authentic selves, without the extensions, without the fake hair, without the makeup, without what they see as perfection because of what they see online. So, it's really us taking the time to, remind the youth, the young boys and the young girls, of who they are, aside from the superficiality, all of this surface level stuff. But who are they inside and at their core, right? Because they're seeing all of this fake shit online, They're seeing all of this fake stuff online and thinking that, that is the ideal image, or that's the way that the whole world is. And if I don't have this or I don't have that, I'm not good enough. That's a problem. And what these platforms and these materialistic people and those who are boasting and bragging about certain things online, such as these material, superficial things, is really crippling the self-esteem of the youth. And I can go on and say a lot more, but I feel as though that is the biggest danger of the world following these individuals, but more specifically the youth. So, God is love, and remember that if you can't take God with you, don't go. You have a blessed day, and I hope you be safe.